Book 1, Chapter 2, Part 2. It's not enough for me just to tell you about it. Remember what I said before? To understand history, you must grasp how everyday view of the world developed, how it was created by the reality of the people who lived before you. It took 1,000 years to evolve the modern way of looking at things, and to really understand where you are today, you must take yourself back to the year 1000, and then move forward through the entire millennium experientially, as though you actually lived through the whole period yourself in a single lifetime. How do I do that? I'll guide you through it. I hesitated for a moment, glancing out the window at the land formations far below. Time was already beginning to feel different. Okay, I'll try. All right. Imagine yourself being alive in the year 1000, in what we have called the Middle Ages. The first thing you must understand is that the reality of this time is being defined by the powerful churchmen of the Christian Church. Because of their position, these men hold great influence over the minds of the populace. And the world these churchmen described as real is, above all, spiritual. They are creating a reality which places their idea about God's plan for mankind at the very center of life. Visualize this. You find yourself in the class of your father, essentially peasant or aristocrat, and you know that you will always be confined to this class. But regardless of which class you're in, or the particular work that you do, you soon realize that social position is secondary to the spiritual reality of life defined by the churchmen. Life is about passing a spiritual test, you discover. The churchmen explain that God has placed mankind at the center of his universe, surrounded him by the entire cosmos, for one solitary purpose, to win or lose salvation. And in this trial, you must correctly choose between two opposing forces, the force of God and the lurking temptations of the devil. But understand that you don't face this contest alone. In fact, as a mere individual, you aren't qualified to determine your status in this regard. This is the province of the churchmen. They are there to interpret the scriptures and to tell you every step of the way whether you are in accordance with God or whether you are being duped by Satan. If you follow their instructions, you are assured that a rewarding afterlife will follow. But if you fail to heed the course they prescribe, then, well, there is excommunication and certain damnation. Dobson looked at me intensely. The manuscript says that the important thing to understand here is that every aspect of the medieval world is defined in otherworldly terms. All the phenomena of life, from the chance thunderstorms or earthquakes, or to the success of crops, to the death of a loved one. It's defined either as the will of God or as the malice of the devil. There is no concept of weather or geological forces or horticulture or disease. All that comes later. For now, you simply believe the churchmen. The world you take for granted operates solely by spiritual means. He stopped talking and looked at me. Are you there? Yeah, I can see that reality. Well, imagine that reality now beginning to break down. What do you mean? The medieval world, your worldview, begins to fall apart in the 14th and 15th centuries. First, you notice certain improprieties on the parts of the churchmen themselves, secret violating their vows of chastity, for example, or taking gratuities to look the other way when government officials violate scriptural laws. These improprieties alarm you because these churchmen hold themselves to be the only communication between yourself and God. Remember, they are the only interpreters of the scriptures, the sole arbitrators of your salvation. Suddenly, you are in the midst of an outright rebellion. A group led by Martin Luther is calling for a complete break from papal Christianity. The churchmen are corrupt, they say, demanding an end to the churchmen's reign over the minds of people. New churches are being formed based on the idea that each person should be able to have access to the scriptures personally and to interpret them as they wish, with no middlemen. As you watch in disbelief, the rebellion succeeds. The churchmen begin to lose. For centuries, these men defined reality, and now, before your eyes, they are losing their credibility. Consequently, the whole world is being thrown into question. The clear consensus about what the nature of the universe is and about humankind's purpose here, based as it was on the churchman description, is collapsing, leaving you and all the other humans in Western culture in a very precarious place. After all, you have grown accustomed to having an authority in your life to define reality, and without that external direction, you feel confused and lost. If the churchman's description of reality and the reason for human existence is wrong, you ask, then what is right? He paused for a moment. Do you see the impact of this collapse on the people of that day? I suppose it would be unsettling. To say the least, there was a tremendous upheaval. The whole worldview was being challenged everywhere. In fact, by the 1600s, astronomers had proved beyond a doubt that the sun and stars did not revolve around the Earth as maintained by the Church. Clearly, the Earth was only one small planet orbiting a minor sun in a galaxy that contained billions of such stars. He leaned towards me. This is important. Mankind has lost its place at the center of God's universe. See the effect this had? Now, when you watch the weather, or plants growing, or someone suddenly die, what you feel is an anxious bafflement. In the past, you might have said God was responsible, or the devil. But as the medieval worldview breaks down, that certainty goes with it. All the things you took for granted now need new definition, especially the nature of God and your relationship to God. With that awareness, the modern age begins. There is a growing democratic spirit and a mass distrust of papal and royal authority. Definitions of the universe based on speculation or scriptural faith are no longer automatically accepted. In spite of the loss of certainty, we didn't want to risk some new group controlling our reality as the churchmen had. If you had been there, you would have participated in the creation of a new mandate for science. A what? He laughed. You would have looked out on this vast, undefined universe, and you would have thought, as the many thinkers of the day, that we needed a method of consensus building, a way to systematically explore this new world of ours. And you would have called this new way of discovering reality the scientific method, which is nothing more than testing an idea about how the universe works, arriving afterward at some conclusion, and then offering this conclusion to others to see if they agree. Then, you would have prepared explorers to go out into this new universe, each armed with the scientific method, and you would have given them their historic mission. Explore this place and find out how it works and what it means that we find ourselves alive here. You knew you had lost your certainty about a God-ruled universe, and because of that, your certainty about the nature of God himself. But you felt you had a method, a consensus-building process through which you could discover the nature of everything around you, including God, and including the true purpose of mankind's existence on the planet. So you sent those explorers out to find the true nature of your situation and to report back. He paused and looked up at me. The manuscript says that at this point we begin the preoccupation from which we are now awakening. We sent these explorers out to bring back a complete explanation of our existence, but because the complexity of the universe, they weren't able to return right away. What was the preoccupation? Put yourself in that time period again. When the scientific method couldn't bring back a new picture of God and of any of mankind's purpose on the planet, the lack of certainty and meaning affected Western culture deeply. We needed something else to do until our questions were asked. Eventually, we arrived at what seemed to be a very logical solution. We looked at each other and said, well, since our explorers have not returned yet with our true spiritual situation, why not settle into this new world of ours while we are waiting? We are certainly learning enough to manipulate this world for our own benefit, so why not work in the meantime to raise our standard of living, our sense of security in the world? He looked at me and grinned. And that's what we did, 4 centuries ago. We shook off our feeling of being lost by taking matters into our own hands, by focusing on conquering the earth and using its resources to better our situation. And only now, as we approach the end of the millennium, can we see what happened. Our focus gradually became a preoccupation. We totally lost ourselves in creating a secular security, an economic security, to replace the spiritual one we had lost. The question of why we were alive, of what was actually going on here spiritually, was slowly pushed aside and repressed altogether. He looked at me intensely, then said, "Working to establish a more comfortable style of survival has grown to feel complete in and of itself as a reason to live, and we've gradually, methodically forgotten our original question. We've forgotten that we still don't know what we're surviving for."